engine these things, so it had plenty of power, never had a lack of anything you needed between the power steering and everything. Appreciate you bringing it down, Mark. Coming up next on All Is Good is Patrick Weber in a 1939 Alice Chalmers UC. That's when Alice started making their tractors and really started making the good ones. If you notice, the front's kind of squared off with the radiator. They're trying to get some stylish going on. That's back when John Deere still had unstyled tractors, so they're trying to make them look pretty. He brings us to the show every year. We appreciate it. UCs are far and few between, it seems like. He's got the kids and everything on there. He's ready to go. Appreciate him bringing it out. Coming up next on a 200 Alice is Mark Herbert out of Milroy. It's a 1973. Looks like he got a cab on that one. Back in the day, the AC wasn't near as good as it is now. I'm sure he's in there sweating. He's got the big chrome stack on her, looking pretty good. Windows open. He's trying to get some fresh air through there. But those were a powerhouse back in the day. If you go from an 02-cylinder John Deere to a 200, 220 Alice, you really made a hell of an improvement. Appreciate you bringing it out. Coming up next out of Owensboro, Kentucky, on a 1953 WD is Merlin Eberhard. He's got that looking good. Just putting right along, smooth running. Got the flags on it. Appreciate that, patriotic. Appreciate you bringing it up from Kentucky. He's got that tuned in just right. Coming up next is a 1940 Alice WC, driven by Jeff Elbhalter out of Owensboro, Kentucky. The WC was the first engine in a tractor that was square, 4-inch bore, 4-inch stroke. You don't see Alice Chalmers anymore. They went out in the early 80s, but they was ahead of their time back in the day. Coming up next, a 1963 Alice D17. Driven by Jason Eberhard out of Owensboro, Kentucky. They brought the whole fleet up, looks like. D17s was a improvement over the WDs and all that, and you had a lot more crew circumference between power steering, the 3-point hitch instead of the quick hitch. You know, a lot of them had alternators on the later ones. That's a Series 3 there. Coming up next on the 1957 D14 is Rick Mason. Still in her work clothes. Looks pretty good out there, Rick. Could barely hear that one run, so smooth running. Coming up next, 1976 7040 Alice. Looks like a marine belly. Marine bellies were earlier tractors. Later years, they painted the bellies on those things black. That's how you can always tell between the early and late. It's driven by Ben Peets and daughter Allie out of Napoleon. It's owned by Ben's father, Wayne Peets. It's one of 3 7040s that are still actively used on their farm. Wayne's been farming for many years, so that tractor's seen that field a lot of times. We appreciate you bringing that 7040 out. Sure looks good. Coming up next on a, well, I missed that D19. Actually, we got out of line here. Let me check which one this is. Next up is a 7030 Alice. I believe that's pieces also. Marine belly, so you know it's an earlier one. Looks pretty good out there. We appreciate them guys bringing that out from Napoleon. Wayne's been trying to power pass for many years. Everybody knows Wayne. After that's D19. Robert Moons, 1963 D19. He comes up every year out of Cape Coral. We appreciate him coming every year to the show. I think last year he actually went best in show in the parade, so that thing's got a sharp paint job on it. Looks nice. Cape Coral down to Fort Myers. That's about 17 hours from here, so he's come a long ways. Coming up next on 7020 Black Belly. See how the belly on this is painted black? You know that's a later one. This is driven by Mike Kuntz, former director of Power Pass, 1978. It's been the famous since new. They got sold new at Briggs Equipment, still used for tillage and grain cart. We appreciate Mike bringing that up. We used that time tractor pull last night, and it was an outstanding tractor. Here comes a pretty one, 1970-220, driven by Jason Barnhorse out of Greensburg. Him and his wife Sally on the tractor. They got her looking pretty good. Jason's dad repainted that a few years ago, and they still use it, so we appreciate everything they do with it. It's a land handler. Coming up next, 1970s it says here, but I think it's older than that. I could say that's probably a 60s, I would say. D15 Alice, driven by Logan Beto out of Greensburg. D15s were a middle-of-the-grade size tractor. They was great for little tillage and pulling silage wagons, stuff like that. Had enough weight they wouldn't get pushed around, but it wasn't big enough where they was cumbersome. D15 Alice. Coming up next is the featured tractor next year, Ford's. This is driven by Andy Niles, the 1955 740. The 700 series was a common tractor, and each one had different numbers after that, whether transmission changed or that all meant something. That 40, I think, was transmission on those. But they either had 4-speed, 5-speed, and some actually had a 6-speed in those. But Andy and his dad are long-time members of Power Pass, and they sure got that looking sharp. Now here's a strange setup. Steve Crowell on his 1951 John Deere AO, pulling a road grader. Steve's been around construction and landscaping for all of his life, and he knows what he's doing there with that road grader. He's got enough handles and turns, and he can really make a road look good. Appreciate him bringing that out. That road grader is an 1890, it says here, so Adams Lehman wheel grader, 10-foot blades, so it actually was made in Indianapolis. So Steve found out a few years ago and he keeps bringing it out here. It's interesting to look at. If you get a chance, go look at the mechanisms on that thing. Coming up next is Clay Hunger on Joe Mobley's 1936 Farmall F20. See anything strange about that tractor? It needs so much power it had to put an extra engine on it. He bought that out of northern Indiana a few years ago. Those are timed just right so one doesn't fight the other one. Just pulling right along these little 4-cylinders. I guess you can call it an 8-cylinder out of that after 2 4s. Not sure what the turning radius of that thing would be, but it looks like it might be a barrel. After that's Joe Mobley, 1964 706 Farmall. Bought this tractor off his neighbor last year. He's used it to farm and do some tillage equipment with it. It's an outstanding tractor. He put some weights on front there to keep the front end down, but Joe and his grandkids are riding on that. They're looking pretty good out there. Thanks for bringing it, Joe.